Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Moran Saghiv, KIIP by Dr. Saghiv. KIIP stands for Knowledge Itself is Power, my favorite quote. So let's empower you a bit more with knowledge today. Let's talk about why, by far, most of the living forms on Earth have evolved and developed and have chosen through evolution to produce most of their energy, if possible, if the circumstances allow, through aerobic processes, meaning that they're choosing to create most of their energy as much as possible, if possible, with oxygen partaking in the process. So let's examine what happens when we break down, when we catabolize a molecule of glucose through anaerobic processes, meaning that oxygen is not partaking in the process. And once we break, and then we break the same molecule of glucose, same glucose exactly, with oxygen through aerobic processes. In both cases, we're breaking down a carbohydrate. And when you break down a carbohydrate, the process is called glycolysis. Glyco in Greek is honey, and honey is sweet, so sugar. And lysis or lysis can be of the meaning of death or taking apart. So in this case, we're taking apart, we're catabolizing, we're breaking down. So when the cell breaks down a molecule of glucose in anaerobic processes, it's going to produce anywhere between 2 and 3 molecules of ATP, and it's going to create acids that increase the acidity of the environment. And our body, for several reasons, reduces its ability to function better when acidity goes up, especially our nerves, our skeletal muscles, and red blood cells that are important to our ability to work with oxygen, and important for many other things because our red blood cells are part of our blood. On the other hand, if you break down the same glucose molecule, exactly the same, through aerobic or via aerobic processes, you get anywhere between 36 to 38 molecules of ATP. So that means you can get 36, 37, or 38, okay, for different reasons. You do not increase acidity. And as a small bonus, in the process of creating energy aerobically, we also create what we call metabolic water, which are water molecules that have been created in a metabolic pathway rather than being brought into the body from the outside. This idea that you either break down glucose, catabolize glucose anaerobically, or you break it down aerobically, is known as the pyruvate junction, because one of the outcomes of splitting the glucose at first are pyruvate molecules, 2 to be exact. And this pyruvate molecule, each one out of the 2 that originate from the glucose that we're breaking down, in each case, will either react anaerobically because there's insufficient oxygen in the cell, meaning we did not supply sufficient oxygen to the cell. So the pyruvate is reacting anaerobically, and it's going to create lactic acid that will increase the acidity of the cell. Lactic acid increases acidity. Or if you are aerobically fit enough to make sure that there's sufficient oxygen in the cell, that pyruvate is going to react aerobically. It's going to be broken down to create acetyl-CoA, and that acetyl-CoA can now enter the mitochondria, the aerobic energy producing plant of the cell, and create much, much more energy. How much more? 2 to 3 molecules of ATP if the process did not include oxygen, it was anaerobic, and 36 to 38 if it was aerobic, it did include oxygen. And this is enough to drive living forms to do whatever they can to be able to produce energy with oxygen. www.KIIP by Dr. Saghiv.com. More videos to come.